Hi guys, Zach here with another Command & Conquer Red Alert video. In this game I'm playing a free-for-all match on the map Water Werks. I'm starting in the top right position, playing as the Soviets. So in this game we've got quite a few good players playing, and I'm starting in the top right, and I don't know where anyone else is starting because it was random positions. So first of all, what I want to do is I want to build some infantry. You will have noticed I've moved my MCV to the left. I wasn't quite sure, because I don't play this map that much, how far I was away from the ore, so I wanted to make sure I get in there close, so that when I build my first ore refinery, it's going to be right on top of that, and the ore trucks aren't going to have to travel as far. This will definitely help my economy early on, and give me more resources to build more troops. And just started getting my infantry around, and we can see there yellow getting in. A bit of a careless mistake for me. I didn't have my infantry fully covering the exit, and you can see my troops taking out those infantry, so they are down, but he does have a bit of a sight on my base, and obviously he knows where my position is. Now you can see there's gems below me. If I'd known where the other players were starting, what I would have done is I would have moved my MCV down south. But I didn't know that another player wouldn't be starting there, so I couldn't do it. Otherwise, I'd be sort of like running into his base right at the start with an MCV. Because gems are obviously very valuable, and they just give you that massive advantage, especially if you can mine them early on. So I am going for quite a conservative start. I'm going for an ore truck. I'm going to go for 2 ore refineries before I build my second war factory. But what I'm going to be trying to do is trying to get to that southern gem patch, and just sending that ore truck there to those resources, and now getting my second ore refinery up. And having 2 ore refineries is going to be pretty good at this stage anyway, because it means if I do get attacked, that it's going to be a bit harder for the other team just destroy all my ore refineries and cut off my resource supply. What I am doing though now is I'm just expanding south. You can see with the crawl over the river, and with a few of the power plants, small power plants. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to build another war factory, so I have a second war factory available. Because I'm just very conscious that I've got a team very close to me, so I want to have the ability to build tanks quickly. But then I'm going to be building another ore refinery just below that war factory, so that ore truck can start collecting some of the gems, because now we know there's no player in that position. So we're getting that second war factory out. I'm building another small power plant just to make sure my ore refinery is right on top of those gems, so that ore truck can quite efficiently collect them. And the thing about gems is they give you twice as many resources, I think, compared to ore. So it does really give you that boost. That means that 1 ore truck on gems is the equivalent of 2 ore trucks working on ore. So it does really help early on, and you can see I'm going to really need those gem funds right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause tank building for a tiny bit until I get that ore refinery out. And we see some movement by yellow, but it doesn't look like it's towards me. It looks like it's towards another part of his base. So it looks like yellow is being attacked, and that's good for us at this stage of the game, because what we want to do is we've spent some resources just to make sure our economy is strong. And now that our economy is strong, we're going to start benefiting from that. I'm getting another ore refinery on the other ore patch to the top right. So while the other two teams are fighting, we're just strengthening our economy and getting a little bit stronger. I'm going to send an infantry over to see if we can get some more visibility on yellow's base, and just see what's going on there. So we don't really want to join in the fight yet, of course. We just want to let them fight it out and just strengthen ourselves in the meantime. And yeah, just a bit careless there, actually not getting those heavy tanks out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to produce a 3rd war factory, and that's going to increase my building speed by quite a bit. And we're just going to take out that ore truck, because he's trying to mine gems there, and we don't want him to be doing that. And that 3rd war factory is being built, and it looks like 2 of the other teams have now been defeated. And that makes an ideal time for us to attack, because the same thing might be happening down south, and we don't want to be in a position where we've got an opponent close to us, and there's only 1 team down the southern end of the map. So now let's see how this fight goes. You can see I've got the superior tank numbers, which I would have at this stage, because yellow's had to do a little bit of fighting, and it looks like that ore truck is going to go down. And this is like sort of the importance of staying out of trouble very early on. And yellow is out of the game. Like, there's 2 things that can happen. Like, there's trying to keep out of trouble early on, I guess, is sort of a good thing if you have places to expand. Sometimes though you have to fight early on, take another team out, just so you can get the expansion in. In this case we did have room to expand, so we were quite lucky in that. We didn't have a player just to the south of us, so we were able to get to that gem patch. And now we're in a position where we've got no other players close to us, and that's put us in a quite strong position, because what it means we can do is that we have a bit more leeway. We're probably going to be able to build a couple of MCVs to get that extra building speed for structures. Now that we've made sure that the opponents close to us are out of it, and there will be opponents down south, but well, it probably won't come up to attack. It's very unlikely. They might. I might, sometimes you can miscalculate, and what you don't know is that one of the opponents down south is nearly destroyed, but what you have to do is you have to go off what's probably the case, and the probable case is you've got two opponents down south. They're not going to attack because they'll leave themselves open to attack from the other player, who's a lot closer to their base. And now we're just placing down some of our structures. We've got 2 construction yards now, and now 3. And that's going to give us a big boost in increasing our building speed. And we're going to get to that next ore patch and be able to just improve our economy even further. Which means we're going to be able to still produce tanks of 3 war factories at maximum production. Because what's going to happen is those gems that we were using early on, they are going to run out, because gems don't regenerate like ore does. So you do have to be careful of that. If you are collecting gems, you need to make sure that you set up your economy so that you're going to be able to continue production even after those gems run out. And now I'm placing an airfield down, and what that's going to help me with is I'm going to get spy planes so I can get more visibility on the map. I'll also be able to get paratroopers, and later if I want to I can also build MiGs, and just getting another couple of construction yards out just to increase my structure building speed even further. I am going to build some Tesla defences, because you can see I've got quite good map control at this point in the game. And we've got 3 ore patches under our control. Obviously there's another 2 teams further south, probably bottom right and bottom left maybe. We'll have to wait and find out. And we can see there's a green trooper coming up north, obviously trying to find out what sort of position I'm in. So I'm building some of those Teslas, and you can see those 2 troops being taken out. And that'll be a deterrent of itself, because you'll see I have Tesla, and I think that's going to mean they're going to be less likely to attack me, because obviously you don't want to run tanks into Tesla against other tanks. It doesn't end well, let's put it like that. And you can see my economy struggling a little bit, because I've got that really fast structure building speed from having 5 construction yards. And just redirecting that ore truck, and another green infantry almost getting into my base there. And also one from Cyan, so Cyan's doing a little bit of scouting also. I've also got my first spy plane, and we can see that green is starting in the bottom left-hand position. Other than that though, we don't know too much about them at this point in the game, and what we're going to do is we're going to send our tanks down south. The thing is, if no one makes a move, then it just turns into a really boring game, and obviously that's not something I want to happen. So we'll get some power plants down south, and you can see a spy plane going over there. That might mean that they're using possibly MiGs, or they might be just using spy planes in order to assess what I've got and just get visibility on my base. But now we're going to get some Tesla coils down, because we can see there's some ore trucks in that field. So we'll just get a line of our Tesla in there, just in that passage above, and having them in that place does actually work quite well, because it means it's quite hard for their tanks to sort of reach them as effectively as they could otherwise. And you can see those ore trucks getting pretty close, and I think I think he's moved them now, so he's moved them further south, because those were about to be in range. And now he's got a Tesla of his own and getting a little bit of a fire there, and he's managed to take out that Tesla, but now I've got a Tesla on his. I'm getting my tanks in, and we're just going to try and take this position. We're going to use those Tesla that we've got and just take out these Tesla. We can't see any tanks at the moment, and some of those ore trucks getting hit. One of those ore trucks being taken out, but now the heavy tanks start to move in from green. Hopefully that backline of Tesla is going to work well for my tanks trying to get into the area. But what I'm going to try and do is get them in from the other side. Unfortunately, though, the tracking system is causing a bit of mayhem, and my tanks are moving all over the place. And that's the thing about the tracking in this game. We are putting some Tesla further to the left, and hopefully they're going to get a fire on some of those tanks. You can see I've got a lot more tanks through now, but as we go further down the back map, we realise he's got even more Tesla, and this isn't working well for us. And I think at the moment what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to pull back, because it's working really badly for us. It's just a mixture of the tracking and our underestimating how much green has. He has a lot more infrastructure down on the south of the map, and now we can see that Cyan is attacking from the right side of the map. Cyan is playing as the allies, and maybe he has satellite at this time in the game because he might have a tech centre and saw that I was fighting with him. And with this, that's a lot of medium tanks, and there's still more coming from the south. We've got Tesla there, but we haven't got any tanks to defend at the moment, and Tesla on their own have low HP, so unfortunately, even though they do a lot of damage, they don't last long. Just trying to get some Tesla up further back. But those two Tesla going down very quickly, and I'm getting my tanks back, but this looks bad for my position at the moment. I'm losing war factories, I'm losing Tesla, and it's very hard to fight when there's this many medium tanks in my base. The question is, am I going to be able to stop this push, and also how much am I going to lose? We can see that those HP of those medium tanks is starting to fall, but I don't really have many defences left, and I do have the lower tank numbers. But if we keep on destroying buildings, we're going to be able to slowly whittle down those tank numbers and hopefully be able to outpower him in the end. But we have lost a lot of our economy, we've lost quite a few of our main buildings, we don't have a faster production speed on structures anymore, and now taking out those remaining tanks that I had, and I'm going to have to try and make some at the top of my base. I've only got 2 war factories now, so my production speed is going to be a bit slower, so I'm just going to need to sort of like try and recoup them a little bit. Just trying to get some tank kills there while he was preoccupied in destroying my other base. I'm also getting some Tesla in the main section of my base, where I've got a construction yard, some of my war factories and ore refineries. But now you can see that green is using his MiGs to try and attack my structures in the middle left position on that other ore patch. I am at least able to gather a small group of tanks together once again. And now we can see that Cyan is moving back to his own base, because I think what's happened is he's worried about green attacking him. He probably sees that he has MiGs, he has a good number of tanks, and he also knows if he loses too much against me, that he'll obviously lose against green in the end. So he needs to maintain his tank numbers, and that's the thing about free-for-all matches. You have to think about the other players as well as just defeating one other player. So we managed to sort of survive that slightly, but we are in a bad position now. We don't have, you can see that green has managed to use his MiGs to take out all of my economy in like the lower part of the map, so I'm not going to be mining from there anymore. And what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to rebuild on this right side. The problem is he does have MiGs, and he's going to be able to fire on those buildings. I am getting out some rocket troopers just to provide a little bit of defence, because MiGs are expensive to build, and I'm also building more construction yards, so I'm going to have a faster structure building speed once again. We've got that radar dome up again, so we can see what's coming if we need to. I guess there's a bit of shroud on the right side of the map, but certainly from the left, from green, we'll be able to see any stuff coming from his side. Just deploying another ore refinery on that middle left position, and since we have a fast building speed from our multiple MCVs, we're now able to rebuild parts of our base a lot faster and getting some defences there. And it'll be a lot harder when we got multiple MCVs, because even if the MiGs do destroy some buildings, I'm able to replace them quite quickly, and just getting some Tesla down there. Just to make sure if he does decide to send some tanks up to that middle position, that I'm going to be well defended. And just getting out those heavy tanks and just building those numbers back up. And it's just a case of rebuilding at this point. You can see my base is quite diminished, so it does look a lot smaller. The only thing we're focusing on now is being on those 3 ore patches, and that's the important thing, because while we're getting resources in, we're going to be able to build up our tank numbers and hopefully be able to do a counterattack sometime. But now we can see some of those MiGs coming in and destroying my ore refinery once again in the middle of the map. I was expecting that sort of anyway. What I'll do is I'll just build a barracks there and build some rocket troopers and just replace that ore refinery because I do have the funds, well, I'll have the building speed to do that quite quickly, and that'll be absolutely fine. So just waiting for that to build, but I'm getting a good, hopefully more and more heavy tanks all of the time. So that's actually built now, and we're going to have some rocket troopers below to help us out. But now we can see 3 heavy tanks coming in from green. It looks like Green's focusing on some small attacks and combining that with his MiG strikes as well. He's managed to destroy a power plant there, but I'm not too bothered about that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to build another Tesla coil just to help me. And I can see why he's probably trying to do those MiG attacks. He's trying to get control of this middle position as the ore truck tries to mine off it. So I think the green is possibly struggling with resources a little bit, so I'm going to need to try and keep up this pressure and just keep him off that other ore patch. And now we see some green tanks going to the top left of the map, and we'll have to see. That's quite a big force actually. It looks like it might be his whole force, and I could be in a bit of trouble here because my tank numbers overall aren't brilliant. And it's not like I have huge numbers of Tesla at this point in the map. These green tanks coming in now. The Tesla goes down. I've only got 1 Tesla further back. He's now going for the economy and taking out those ore trucks with ease. I just don't have the tank numbers to defend right at the moment. I am getting some more Tesla up, and they're in like backward positions, so they are able to get some good shots off and do some decent damage. So those Tesla definitely paying dividends at this stage. And now Green's tanks are starting to pull back as he starts to lose a bit more from Tesla, and because of the nature of the map, it is quite hard for him. Another Tesla goes down there, and that Tesla is going to be very hard for his tanks to reach, and I expect it to do quite a bit of damage. Getting taken, well, almost being taken down, but you can see how hard it is from that position, and because it's in a difficult position to reach, he's managed to just survive. So really paying off there. And I'm going to be able to build another Tesla somewhere just for a little bit more defense in case I need it. And that's a really important battle. We managed to take a lot of green tanks down, and whittling those tanks down is just so important at this stage, because what we need to make sure is that he isn't going to be able to mass up tanks and do an absolutely huge attack later in the game. We still need to be aware of Cyan and try and counter any attacks that Cyan may throw at us. Because I think Cyan are possibly be in a similar position to Green. I've been quite conservative with the ore, making sure not to build too many ore trucks. But I don't know whether the other 2 teams have been doing the same. And now what I'm doing is I'm building some SAM sites around the base, because they're sort of like permanent structures, whereas rocket troopers can move around if I need them to. So hopefully this will provide a little bit of defense and deter any further MiG attacks. I'm also I've just realised I've sort of used this spy plane and these paratroopers more, but I've just been very focused on other things, and now them getting attacked by some of those green tanks. I'm just moving out of the way, and maybe we'll be able to get the radar dome down. It is looking that way, and I've just seen a Cyan ore truck being destroyed, so Green's eyes might be other places, and that radar dome does go down, and that'll just be a bit of an annoyance for Green, because they'll have to build another one if they want to keep their mini-map vision. So doing a little bit of damage there. I've got a bit of vision on the bottom right of the map, although I can't see much at the moment. I don't think there's any structures there. And we've got a green trooper there in the top, just firing over my ore trucks. I'm not too worried about that. Those ore trucks will regenerate if they get large enough. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to build some MiGs of my own and see how they go. Just spreading out those troopers out. And I'm going to need to move some of them to the top right position, because we can see there's a ore refinery there. I'm not too worried about the ore refinery I've lost. It's just the other ore refinery there I want to keep up, because it will be annoying if I have to build another one. So we are building some SAM sites around that position. We're also going to get some rocket troopers out around that position, so we can place them in front of the ore refinery to hopefully destroy any MiGs if they do go on the attack. There will become a point when I have enough base defences that I lose so many MiGs that it becomes like not nonsensical to send MiGs in for the attack, because they'd be losing too many resources and having to replace too many and not doing enough damage. Also just waiting for those spy planes to become available, and also the paratroopers. And now you can see my army of heavy tanks is starting to build up again, and what I need to do now is decide where's best to place them. And those MiGs, just having a look at where they're going. So he's trying to take them. I just saw that construction yard and managed to take it out. So I wasn't able to save that anyway, but what I'll be able to do anyway, because I've got quite I've got like a base that quite fast building speed of base structures anyway, so I'll be able to sort of like crawl my way and just need to make sure is I build some air defences while I do that. And the more air defences I have scattered around, that'll make it more tricky for Green and his flight paths, although he will have a lot of vision now of the map, and they're trying to take out a tank, so he's trying to aim for tanks as well. I probably need to start grouping them near like SAM sites or rocket troopers, and there's some paratroopers from Green trying to take out some of my SAM sites, so that's going to be annoying because those SAM sites aren't cheap, and I think that one's, yeah, it's just going to go down. I was just a bit late in getting that flame tower down, but I've got one down now, and I'm also building more sites of my own, so more airfields, and I'm going to be building some MiGs, and unfortunately these airfields are going to be a bit irregular because you can see the terrain. There's not like a good place to like sort of like place them at this point, so they're going to be scattered around a little bit. But getting some MiGs down there, obviously I've had quite a few of those airfields down, so their building speed is going to be very, very quick. I need 6 MiGs to take out construction yards. I need about 7 to take out other structures. And there we can see a Cyan MCV in the middle of the map and some green planes going further up north. We'll have to see where he decides to go. So yeah, taking all sorts of flight paths to try and hit my tanks or other structures. And those MiG numbers now starting to build up. I've got enough to go on the attack, and we'll just have a look at Green's base. I'll probably send them over to, yeah, I'm going to need to send them probably over to this spot first. And then I'm going to send them down, because what I do have sight of is I have sight of a construction yard. So we'll start targeting some of Green's buildings now. And what that'll force Green to do is start building defences, and then he'll be able to spend less on attacks. And there, a construction yard does go down. And we've got some visibility on war factories as well. So we'll be able to target those now. And now that Green's, we're starting to attack Green with MiGs, it seems like Green's tanks are on the move. We'll have to see, is he going to go on the attack, or is he going to just stay in his base? I'm going to get my tanks at the other side of the bottleneck in position, so that his tanks will have a hard time trying to push their way through. We'll have to wait and see. We can also see that he's got those paratroopers near my airfields, so that's going to be a bit annoying. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to build some more Tesla defense. But his green tanks are coming. He seems to have halted them for the time being. And now I'm just going to place that Tesla coil there. And it's taken out a couple of tanks. But it does look like he is pushing to the other side and thinking about doing an attack from the left side of the map. He's looking for an efficient way to attack my base, where he doesn't lose too many tanks. So like his bottlenecks obviously make good positions to defend from. Obviously though, here I don't have my buildings are blocking my tanks, and it's hard to get them through, and that's why I sent them there initially. But my Tesla are doing some great work and taking out quite a number of those tanks. I don't think that was too good in terms of efficiency, but now I'm losing a few tanks there, as my tanks is trying to scramble and having a little bit of problem with tracking. But what's happening is I am getting more and more Tesla up. I am going to have to be careful there though, because I don't have enough power. So those Tesla are going to be down for a short period of time. I'll just pause building those tanks there. And now he's having a little bit of trouble there. And now Green's tanks look like they have to maybe pull back a little bit, because he realises he's just losing too much to the Tesla. That are too effective, especially in those positions where you got like a bottleneck, which is causing his tanks to have to congregate together. So now what we can see he's doing is he's going to the left side of the map. I've also noticed something else. So Cyan is on the right side of the map, and he's building a base near my right side base. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take out this base really, really quickly, and then focus on Green, because this is the most important part to get down. Because what I don't want Cyan to do is to get established there and get in a position where I can't attack him and just destroying those ore trucks. You can see 4 ore trucks going down quite quickly, and that's destroyed his attempt to start mining off the top right ore patch. But now I've left the left side undefended. I'm going to need to go back there and cause a bit of defence. So my ore trucks seem to be going down. I've also got not many tanks in this position, but my tanks are coming back. I've got quite a few Tesla coils though, right in the back there. And they're sort of just sort of like protected a little bit, and now those green tanks trying to bunch up and just trying to attack at a distance from those Tesla coils. But now my tanks are coming back, and I've got the better numbers, and it looks like green is going to have to pull back. He's losing a lot of tanks there, and that's been quite successful for us. We managed to stop the Cyan expansion to the top right, and we've also managed to deflect the green tanks that have attacked us as well, also destroying a lot of those green tanks in the process, so that has been a win for us at the moment. And now what we'll have to do is we'll have to have a little look. We can also see that Cyan has also tried to expand in the middle left position, so we'll destroy that ore refinery there. And I think what he's done there is he's probably used a chronosphere to transport his MCV and build there, because it seems quite a hard position to get to, but now we've cleared him off that position as well, and we do have some of those paratroopers in the top right destroying some of those MiGs. So I'm just going to get a flame tower out because they destroyed them quite quickly. Now that we managed to defend against the last attack, and hopefully managed to whittle down their army numbers quite a bit, especially green, we don't know too much about Cyan, but now we can think about going on the offensive. We've got our base well defended, we've got more Tesla in position, so hopefully we'll be able to do well there. And now a little Tanya running into my base, I think. Is that a Tanya? Anyway, I've just got that trooper out and got a flame tower there to defend, but now we're going down to Cyan's base, and it looks like Cyan possibly doesn't have as much as I thought he would, so we might be able to do a little bit of an attack there. Just bunching our tanks together, we did manage to take away his base expansions, and he does tend to seem to have a lot of medium tanks still there. So now let's get in this fight with his heavy tanks versus his medium tanks. Medium tanks are a little bit weaker, but they still pack a little bit of a punch and are a bit more sturdy than those light tanks. But it looks like good for us at the moment. We managed to take out them quite well. Some of those medium tanks have been damaged quite a bit, and that might have been from earlier when he did an attack on my base. So we're managing to do okay there, getting those tank numbers down. It looks like it's like a slightly even fight, but we do seem to have the slight advantage. Although those troops coming in, can they tip the scales? He's got rocket troopers which do good damage against medium tanks, but we are able to squash them with the tanks, managing to do so, and it looks like those numbers are down. But we have lost a lot of tanks in this invasion, and this might leave us a bit more open to attack from the distribution of buildings. We can see, and the damage that's been done there already, we can see that there's probably been attacks there earlier on, and now green is using the opportunity to mount and launch an attack against myself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the troops to that bottleneck and try and defend for all it's worth. And now we'll have to see if those green tags going back now a little bit and just destroying some of those structures further down, but that's given us a bit of time just to get our troops together and just to bring everything from the bottleneck just to try and defend against this attack. The question is, does green have enough? He still has a lot of heavy tanks there, and the question is he going to try and go through, or is he just going to sit there for the time being? I am going to be able to build some Tesla coils quite close to the Light River, so they're going to be able to fire on some of those heavy tanks and take some of them out. But yeah, that one was a little bit too close and did get taken out there. But we are going to be able to sort of like Tesla crawl that position, so it's not going to be too bad. And I think he might be in a little bit of trouble. He doesn't have like a great, it's not like his number of tanks is brilliant. I don't know if he has as many as I do. And now they try to creep up, and what we'll do is we'll try and close that position again. We managed to get him to come up a little bit, and this is putting us in a good position because his tanks are stuck in a bottleneck, and we're going to be able to get some good kills here. And those heavy tanks going down quite quickly. I'm obviously going to lose some tanks in the process, but I think green will get the worst deal. So now we're going to be able to push him down a little bit. The tank numbers looking good for us at the moment. We're managing to hold up, and even if our tank numbers do decrease, we do have Tesla defending behind it, and we do have a good economy going. It's seeming like he's able to push through a little bit here, but his tank numbers definitely reduced quite significantly. And he does have some troops coming in as well, which will be providing a little bit of support there. I'm just going to need to fall back a little bit here, and I've got that Tesla coil up, and I think that's going to make a big difference, especially when we see these small numbers of tanks fighting, although he did get the MiGs quite quickly, so good play there with using his MiGs as well to help him in this fight. And slowly but surely though, those tanks are whittled down, and now he's only got a few tanks left. And yeah, I'm just going to place another Tesla coil down, and we'll have to see what he chooses to do with these last few tanks. But as soon as they get in range of Tesla coil, they're going to be hit pretty hard. And again, sending those MiGs in to destroy that Tesla coil, I am going to need some better air defences. Again, we managed to defend against that air defence and that land attack, and he hasn't done too much damage at all, so I am still in a very good position. I do have a lot of SAM sites across. He did destroy some early on in the attack, and what I'll be able to do is I'll be able to resume my attack on Cyan. Because once we've got one player out of the game, then we can focus on the other, and I do know that green does have a lot of Tesla defences, so he might be a little bit more tricky to take out. Yeah, you can just see that line of Tesla there, looking pretty bad, and just missing some fighting in that top right position. So he's managed to take an ore refinery out, so I'm going to need to rebuild that. Otherwise, all my ore trucks are going to be grouping around one ore refinery, and that's going to make it really hard for me to drop off resources, which is obviously something I don't want to happen. So I'm going to be getting that ore refinery. It's almost done. And what I'm trying to do is just... yeah, it's not in a great position to sort of new ore refinery, but it's a lot better than the one at the other side of my top part of my base. And getting these tanks out again, I'll be able to focus on production once again and be able to get some tanks to the bottom right of the map. And I think green knows that the game is almost over, because now I've stabilised, I've got my economy going still, I've got a decent tank production, although it's only 2 war factories, but it's still reasonable. And now we can see Cyan's base. He does have some tanks further back, but I don't think they are going to be in the numbers that he's going to need if he's in order to either destroy my base or to defend against my next assault. What I'm going to need to do though is I'm going to need to rebuild my tank numbers, because green, even though his last attack wasn't successful, he did manage to whittle down my numbers quite a bit. I just need to regroup my tanks and wait for them to build back up in appropriate numbers to mount a successful launch. There's no point in just whittling in a few tanks at a time, because that's very inefficient. We can also see some Cyan tanks moving up to the north of the map, and we'll have to see. I think this is going to be Cyan's last attempt to take out my base. He's probably seen that green's done an attack, and now he's taking tanks of his own, but he sees my tanks going over to defend, and it looks like that Cyan is pulling his tanks further back. I should have really actually uncovered that part of the map a little bit more. What I'll do though is I might try and push down a little bit and just see if I can find him and eliminate those remaining tanks. So just uncovered a bit of this shroud. You can see those medium tanks are trying to get away. I'll be able to take out a couple there because they're in a awkward position. Obviously the tracking in this game isn't great, so if you try and move your tanks around cliffs, some of them do get a little bit lost. And now we're trying to push down a little bit. He's got me in a bottleneck though, so it's not going to be like an efficient type of fight. But sometimes when you do have superior tank numbers, you can manage to push through these bottlenecks and get a decent trade. And that's exactly what's happening here. Those medium tanks going down. He's only got 4 left. And now he's down to 3, and those medium tanks just been pushed back all the time. Only 2 tanks left, and now we're down to the last tank, and once we've taken that out, we're going to be able to start going for the structures inside the base. I always do prefer to go for the tanks first and whittle them down, because if you go for structures you just take a lot of damage, although we can take some structures before we meet his last tank, which... he's got a few more tanks actually in his base. He wasn't using them all, and we also got a tech centre there, and if we take his tech centre down, that'll probably lose him all map visibility, because he probably has satellites at this stage in the game. So that's going to be pretty annoying for Cyan, but we can see that for Cyan it is over. There's absolutely no way, he's got nothing to defend with, and I think selling up some of the stuff there, because he knows he is going to lose it. He had a decent economy, he had some satellites and things like that, but at the end of the day, we've got the better army, we've got map control, we've got control of more ore patches, and I'm just having a look at that right side of my base, and it looks like once again it has been destroyed. However, I'm not too concerned about that. Also, some of my airfields going down, and now my tanks going into green's base. We'll have to see what we can do. Does green have anything to defend with? Has he lost all his tanks, or does he have some in reserve? There's also Cyan in the right side of the map. And yeah, I think we can see there another Tanya going in. And Tanyas are great for like last ditch attempts. Sometimes you can get great damage with them. But unfortunately for him, I do have a lot of Tesla in my base. And those Tesla will just fry Tanya if she gets close. So there's going to be no worries there. Just getting these annoying MiGs. Trying to destroy my ore refinery for goodness knows how many times. And just getting a lot more flame towers around that area just to prevent further MiG attacks. And just having a look across my base, it looks like I'm in a pretty good position. I've got a good economy going, I've got lots of control of ore patches, and I've also got decent tank numbers as well. I'm going to move these tanks down to the south part of the map because I can start looking at how I'm going to do this final attack. But first of all, what I need to do is I need to destroy that Cyan MCV. He's managed to sneak one away. It might be able to build up a little bit, but he wouldn't get far anyway because I've got too much map visibility. I'd be able to see his base getting built, but we'll get it down anyway, and that'll push Cyan right out the game. That's probably why Cyan isn't out yet. So we'll have to see, is this Cyan's last building? It looks like Cyan is still in, but he must have something somewhere. Yeah, another MCV actually there. So we've spotted another one, and hopefully this MCV will be the last one we need to destroy. So Cyan having lots of MCVs spread all over the map, but Cyan is now officially out of the game. And now we just have to focus on green, and we can start getting our tanks in position. So yeah, and let's see what green can do, because we know he has a lot of Tesla in that defence. We saw that early on where we did a bit of a premature attack and it didn't go too well. So we're going to go for an attack on the same part of the base, try and take out those Tesla first, because those Tesla do crazy damage against tanks, and tanks and Tesla together are just so effective. And now taking out some of those tank numbers, we managed to take out some of those major buildings, but what we need to really do is just take out all his Tesla, because the tanks coming in are going to be getting hit, and he did have a grand number of Tesla there. Probably overproduced actually, because there's so many there. It must have cost a lot of resources. It made sure his base, I guess, was tight against tank attacks, but he had other tanks to help defend. But now his tank numbers are too small, and my tanks are in his base, and we're managing to destroy all the major buildings, and it's pretty much a good game. So we did get a bit of a hard position in this middle of the game, and the problem is when you get like 3 teams left, people become unwilling to attack. And I mean, if it had been a tournament game and I'd be when I attacked green, I probably wouldn't have attacked, because if it was a tournament and I was playing for like ranked position, then yeah, you attack one player, then you leave yourself open. But like in these types of games, free-for-alls, I mean, if you get like a standoff between 3 players, it just turns into a boring match, and I just find it more interesting. So I know like the better position, if I was just focusing on winning, would be to just wait it out at the start there, possibly. But I don't really find that fun, to be honest, if I just wait there for like ages and ages and people just building up tanks. So I am glad I attacked. It made it a much more enjoyable game, and it was quite close. It was just, the question was I going to be able to keep control of the north part of the map? Was I going to be able to survive the MiG attacks? Was I going to be able to survive the tank attacks? It did look like Cyan had me in the middle of that game after I attacked green, but I was managed to wait it out. And Cyan had to pull back because he knew he could be attacked by green. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video.